Oh, hey there, y'all. Welcome to my channel. How are you guys doing? I've missed you. I'm glad you found the new channel. Your girl's got to generate some more income. The single mom biz is really hard. So yeah, here we are. This is your extended version of the Hoodoo Tarot reading from my main channel. So if you've not seen that main reading yet, please go check out my intuitive portion. This is strictly going to be me teaching you about these historical characters and giving you the meanings that the author intended for these cards, all right, that came up in your reading today. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. And the first sign that I will be doing today is Gemini. All right, Gemini, you guys got the Judgment card upright, the Garden card in the reverse. You got the Big House, which is the Tower, in the reverse. You got the Queen of Swords, the Mother of Knives, all right, in reverse. And the Three of Pentacles, Three of Coins in reverse, the Three of Cups, baskets in reverse, and the Five of Baskets upright, okay? I just captured this. If you play with fire, you will be burned, Gemini. And if you know better, do better. That's the first thing I got from your reading. All right, let's kick this off and get started. Okay, the Mother of Knives. The Mother of Knives. This is the Queen of Swords in traditional tarot. The plant associated with this card is rue, R-U-E. The image, it says, the Mother of Knives is depicted here as a member of two prestigious secret societies, the Grand United Order of Oddfellows and the Order of the Eastern Star. In addition to the church, mutual aid, secret societies, and fraternal and sororal organizations were the backbone of Black American communities between the 18th and 20th centuries. Unlike women of other races, Black women were welcome to participate and were respected as powerful leaders and influencers of many of these organizations. Here, the Mother of Knives is a powerful bibliomancer who uses the Bible as a guide. The Mother of Knives is the archetype of the warrior queen. On the positive side, she is perceptive, analytical, forthright, witty, independent, resilient, highly intelligent, deep, and sets clear boundaries. On the negative side, she is a perfectionist, cold-hearted, aggressive, and bitchy. In a reading, if she doesn't represent a literal person with these qualities, then she represents those attributes. All right, so there's that. I also feel that Gemini, with this card in the middle here, if I remember from the book, I want to say this has to deal with secret societies and male-female involvement in those. And then historical Black societies, the women were included in that and treated as equals. This is also you not being treated like an equal. This is also you not setting good boundaries or demanding respect for yourself, and then wondering why you're catching judgment for that, all right? Wondering why bad things keep happening. Bad things don't happen to good people. They shouldn't happen to good people. I mean, if the good person won't learn their lesson or, won't accept any accountability or, demand respect or demand boundaries, then you get what you deserve, a lesson, all right? And this is a hard one. It's also relying on things that you've been taught. I want to say that this is the Bible that she's pointing this sword into. It's this is somebody having a lapse in judgment or lowering their standards or their values or, not adhering to their moral code, okay? All right, so there's that. Okay, up next we have them bones, them bones, them bones, them dry bones, them bones, them bones, them dry bones. Yeah, them bones is the Judgment card, all right, in this deck. And it's also the cover of the book, by the way, BTW. If y'all have not bought this deck, please do. All right, so them bones, Judgment. There's a Bible verse that goes with this. That would be John 7:24. Do not judge by appearances, but judge with right judgment. The plant here is Carolina buckthorn. The image, it says, a woman puts her hand over her mouth in shock at what the bones on the table reveal to her. Astrologomancy, meaning divination using bones or dice, was practiced by indigenous American and African people. Divination with bones requires the reader to associate different meanings with each bone based on where and how they land. The bones of chickens and cats were the most commonly used, but other small and medium-sized animals were also acceptable. Contrary to popular belief, the choice of which animal to use was strictly up to the individual root worker. A set of dem bones could include not only the remains of an animal, but also other items such as keys, seashells, and crystals. Like other forms of divination, all the items in a reader's set had clear associations, but it's a reader's innate talent that determines accuracy. All right? Anyone can have a deck of cards. It's how the reader reads them that makes them special. All right? That's the same thing here. All right, so it says the meaning. When them bones appear in a reading, you are being reminded that it's time to focus on what you need rather than what you want. All right? Most likely you will have to make some tough choices, but if you are willing to put your ego aside and do what you have to do, the best possible outcome is guaranteed. Them bones may be reminding you that people are going to talk about you no matter what you do. So make sure that you remain in alignment with your goals, dreams, and aspirations. Acknowledge that no one escapes judgment, even if the judge is oneself. Them bones could also indicate that it is time for a more in-depth reading concerning a matter of great importance. This reading will provide relief and solutions to your problems. If you receive dem bones in a reading, consider the following. It may be time for an honest self-assessment. 2. What is your reputation? Are you still in alignment with it? 3. If you want a fresh start, start fresh. 4. The neutral position is no longer an option. I was picking up on that in your read in the intuitive part. I was like, somebody needs to make a decision. Like, you have to make a decision. You can't just sit on the fence about something. Do others need to know where you stand on that issue? If so, stop stalling and tell them. Just say it. Just say it. Say what you need to say. All right. The next card that we had in your spread today was the Garden card, which is the World card in this deck. Sorry for the glare. The prayer that goes with this one is Isaiah 58:11. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. The plants associated with that are cosmos. I have some of those growing in my backyard. It's a wildflower. The image, it says, a woman is happily watering her garden. Prior to the Industrial Revolution, most Americans were farmers by trade. It was hard work, but people took great pride in knowing that the produce that fed and cured their families was grown by their own hands. Y'all, I have to pause because I literally just did this. It was the most gratifying experience ever. I have killed every plant like in a most comical way that has ever come into my house or my possession in like a swift and comical fashion. Since I moved to my new house down in the low country here, I started trying to be like a gardener and a farmer, and I grew my own food. Like, I'm so fucking excited for myself. I grew a ton of collard greens, like a ton, and I harvested them all the other day for Easter, and I made the most delicious batch of like southern collard greens with pot liquor, all that good stuff. And I'm telling you, the fact that I grew those things from a seed to a giant plant and then was able to cook them and eat them and feed my family with them was one of the most gratifying experiences I've ever had. So there's that. I don't know, I just thought I'd share that with you. Anyways, it says, yes, the produce that fed and cured their families was grown by their own hands. For people with more resources, gardening eventually became a relaxing leisure activity that allowed them to connect with nature or express themselves creatively. Either way, whether for utilitarian or recreational purposes, the rule for a successful harvest doesn't change, which is this: mind your crops. Meaning, when the garden appears in a reading, it's letting you know that you've successfully taken care of business and it's time to reap all the goodness that you've sown. Count your blessings. If your query relates to gossip or rumors, the garden could be trying to tell you to mind your own business. It's reminding you of how much better the world would be if everyone focused on their own affairs. Tend to your own garden. It also says, instead of being concerned about what others are doing and how they're doing it, tend to your own affairs. If you receive the garden in a reading, consider the following. In what ways do you heal the world? In what ways do you heal the world? Seriously consider the benefits of working there or joining that club, etc. The solution has arrived. There is nothing more to seek. What makes you feel safe, grounded, and whole? Don't wait for anyone else to have a pleasurable experience. Stop and smell the roses. Learn the art of being content. You made it, now enjoy it. All right. Also, Gemini, this garden card here, it's very much about minding your own business, which is so hard. So hard for a Gemini. And y'all, I'm not picking on you. My Venus is in Gemini. My midheaven is in Gemini, and my oldest son has a Gemini stellium, all right, in his 10th house. It's about minding your own business. When you're the most inquisitive sign, you want to know why everything is the way it is, how things work, why people do this. You want to know all the answers. You want to know all the facts. You have a thirst for knowledge. Something about this, you need to mind your own business. You don't know the truth about something with this Queen of Swords in the, in the reverse. Like, you're not sure about what's going on with something. You don't understand. So you are trying to learn, but the judgment has already been rendered and this cycle needs to end. There are no more answers. There are no more solutions. There's no more research. You need to tend to your own business. Whatever you're paying attention to or, pushing your energy towards, that ain't your circus. That ain't your monk. Those aren't your monkeys. Like, that ain't your circus. Those aren't your monkeys. Leave them alone. All right? I don't know what else to tell you. The next card that was pulled in your reading is the Big House, which is the Tower card in this deck. Can you see that? It says the Big House, which is the Tower. The Bible verse is Isaiah 34:11. It says, but the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it. The owl. So the Bible verse associated with this is Isaiah 34:11. It says, but the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it, the owl also and the raven shall dwell in it, and he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness. I have no idea what that means, and it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, so I'm not even going to try to get into that. So if anyone knows what that Bible verse means or has some context for that, can you please comment that below for your girl? The plant associated with this card is the oak. The image says a woman looking at a plantation home with a rose-colored lens is unable to see the suffering of the people plummeting from the window. It's likely that they don't even exist. There is no greater symbol of Southern gentility than a majestic plantation home surrounded by lush Victorian gardens. Every year, millions of people from around the world flock to the South for plantation tours as their guides prattle on about lemonade, quaint customs, and corseted balls during what may be called simpler times. What they don't tell you is that most of those villages and fields were already there and thriving prior to the arrival of the foreigners. In other words, indigenous people were literally forced to work on their own land. So while this simpler time was certainly a reality for hundreds of prosperous slave owners, it was not for thousands of enslaved people and indentured servants. From then, the Big House was far from beautiful. So while this simpler time was certainly the reality for hundreds of prosperous slave owners, it was not for thousands of enslaved people and indentured servants. For them, the Big House was far from beautiful and was instead an unpredictable house of horrors. It says when the Big House comes up in a reading, it may be trying to prepare you for sudden change and the subsequent trauma that will come from it. There will be no opportunity to adjust. You will simply have to deal with things the best way you know how. If you are not a big embracer of change or you don't like surprises, life is about to suck big time, but it doesn't have to. The best thing to do when you get the news is to fight the urge to resist or deny whatever is occurring and try your best not to look at the bright side. If there is a bright side or you're presently unable to see it, or if there is no bright side or you're presently unable to see it, then seek support immediately. Reach out to family, friends, and neighbors or call a hotline, talk to somebody. It's important that you have people around now that can keep you focused and grounded as the winds of change uproot all that seemed permanent. If you receive the Big House in a reading, consider the following. Your plans may be disrupted in a way that you cannot imagine. Is this a breakdown or a breakthrough? In what way does this change hurt your ego? Things may actually turn out better in the end. What or who do you need to help you through this difficult time? There is a danger of going completely off the rails. Mind your temper. And just like that, it's over. Pick up the pieces and let it go. How could this experience inspire you to new heights? Why do you think that idea just came out of the blue? Perhaps it's not such a big surprise at all. You just weren't ready to see it. And the truth hurts. Interesting. Okay, let's move on. The next card that you had in your reading was the Three of Coins or the Three of Pentacles. The plant associated with that card is vetiver, vetiver. The image says a very successful Afro-Romani root worker. Hey, shout out my Romani ancestors. Afro-Romani root worker awaits the arrival of a client. Thousands of gypsies were reclassified as colored and intermarried into Negro communities throughout the South. They were known to be especially skilled at breaking hexes and curses. This woman wears 2 necklaces to keep the blessings coming, a rosary made of black-eyed peas, and a wishbone. Meaning positive, employment, professional growth, internships, high standards, appreciation for a job well done, beneficial use of talents, exceeding expectations, promotions, detail-oriented people, upgrades, improvement in social status, being validated by others, degrees or certifications, collaborations, and goal-oriented people. In the reverse, all right, the negative aspects are incompetence, missed opportunities, know-it-alls, demotions, work-related problems, lack of skill, falling short, half-hearted efforts, and poor work ethic. No effort, okay? All right, let's see. Next up we have the next card from your reading was the Three of Baskets. Oh my gosh, this glare is terrible. I'm sorry. The plant is sweetgrass, all right? I have a sweetgrass basket right here on my desk. I live in the low country, so there's hoodoo stuff all around here. Three of Baskets, plant is sweetgrass. The image, 3 generations of Gullah Geechee women enjoy each other's company as they weave sweetgrass baskets. Sweetgrass is most often used as an incense to purify and consecrate, but it is also used as a medicinal herb to cure throat inflammation or to add flavor to food and drinks. Meaning in the positive, upright, is parties, reunion, good fortune, hobbies, plenty, renewed health, collaborations, spending time with friends and team players. In the negative, or in the reverse position, it says overindulgence, addicts, the party's over, homebodies, promiscuity, ill health, alcoholism, cheaters, lack of friends, and agoraphobes. Okay, that was that one. All right. The next card that popped up in your reading is the Five of Baskets. The plant is St. John's wort. The image says 3 baskets are shown in various states of destruction. 2 remain unscathed beneath debris despite being bent or distorted. The 2 baskets that survived whatever destroyed the other 3 represent our often untapped inner power and strength. Meaning, in the upright, positive, moving on, finally forgiving yourself, renewed hope, seeking help for emotional problems, recovery, feeling alive again, and letting go of grief, sorrow, and disappointment. Negative in the reverse position is brooding, mourning, loss, resentment, unwelcome change, feelings of abandonment, failure, separation, punishment, pessimism, bitterness, remorse, heartbreaking situations, and traumatic experiences. All right. All right, Geminis, that was the extended version of your Hoodoo Tarot reading. And again, if you did not catch the original one, please click on the link in the description box below and go and do that for your girl. Get my numbers up and my algorithm back on track. If you want a personal reading from me from the Hoodoo Tarot or any other tarot that I do on my channel, hit me up at ASouthernStrega@gmail.com, all right, to book a personal reading. That's also in the description box below. All right, Geminis, catch you next time. Love you. Bye. All right, Libra, let's get to your extended version of your reading from the Hoodoo Tarot. If you did not catch the original reading, please go do that. It's on my main channel. Links in the description box below. If you guys would like a personalized Hoodoo Tarot reading or any other type of reading that I do on my channel, email me at ASouthernStrega@gmail.com. That will also be down in that helpful little description box for you, okay? All right, so let's talk about the cards that were in your reading, and I will give you the author's take on that and see if you can gain any more wisdom out of that, all right? So let's get started. Okay, you guys had John Horse, which is the Emperor card in this deck. Oh, the Bible verse associated with John Horse is Proverbs 11:14, where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in an abundance of counselors there is safety. The plant is cypress. The image, it says, John Horse is seated calmly on his throne. He has a rifle strapped to him. He's clutching a knife in one hand, and the other hand is balled into a tight fist. He's ready for anything. However, John's most powerful weapon, arguably, is the prophet Abiaka, who is busy summoning spirits to keep the community safe. Abiaka's clan totem, the Black Panther, is poised for a vicious attack against anyone who dares to challenge them. John Horse, who lived from 1812 to 1882, also known as Juan Caballo, was born into slavery in Florida. Not much is known about his early life, but he became a leader of the Seminole Indians and participated in the Second Seminole War, which prior to the war in Vietnam was the United States Army's only non-victory. In addition, in 1849, John Horse led the largest escape of enslaved people to freedom in U.S. history. He also founded free settlements for the runaways in Oklahoma and Mexico. By the time of his death, John Horse had fought against the French, the Americans, and hostile Indians working in conjunction with the colonists. He avoided slave catchers, 3 wars, and several assassination attempts. These are but a few of this warrior's outstanding accomplishments. He defended the black settlements on 3 frontiers and was said to love children, whiskey, and his noble white steed named American. The man who had been credited as John Horse's spiritual guide and mentor was a Creek medicine man and prophet named Abiaka Hadjo, 1760 to 1860. Dang, 100 years old. AKA Sam Jones, for the white people, I guess. I don't know. Though Abiaka was not well known to the public as John Horse was, he was no less important to maintaining the cohesion of the Seminole people. In fact, without Abiaka's determination as a leader, many women, children, and elders would have been slaughtered. The Seminoles would not have a band in Florida this very day if it were not for him. Abiaka's name is translated as crazy rattlesnake in English, but the Muskogee, the Creek word Abiaka is said to mean heap at the root. In the immortal words of Morpheus from the Matrix, fate, it seems, is not without a sense of irony. Okay? The meaning of this card, it says, when John Horse appears in a reading, you are being advised to take charge of whatever is going on in your life. This is not the time for self-doubt or weakness of any kind, for if you indulge in those emotions too long, you are certain to lose more than you can imagine. The odds may be tough, but John Horse teaches us that no matter how great the odds are against you, victory is still achievable. When this card comes up, there is simply no other course of action but to get organized, then charge full steam ahead. However, John Horse is also reminding you even the greatest warriors require support. He is telling you that you may increase your chance of winning by having the right spiritual teachers in your corner. If you receive John Horse in a reading, consider the following. Effective leadership requires wise counsel and up-to-date information. Are you following the right leaders or elders at this stage in your journey? What does lineage mean to you, and do you know yours? How do you protect yourself from attack? Get organized and focus, or prepare for certain defeat. Does this plan have a solid foundation? Do you have a problem with authority for its own sake? The law is on its way. The system. Stick to your regimen for best results. If you value comfort over security, things are about to get really uncomfortable. Stop whining and fight. Every Indian wants to be the chief. And what does your father or father figure have to say about that? What would daddy say? Okay, so there's that. Libra, I also feel like a lot of you guys have just straight up given up hope. You feel like your ancestors are not even backing you. John Horse has this little spiritual guide. He's got this little spirit warrior here with him that's summoning all the ancestors to come aid him in battle. He was literally protected by, a field of ghosts and passed on loved ones. You're feeling like you've been abandoned, or you're not getting the support that you need from your family, or you feel like your ancestors you can't hear them anymore, or they're not hearing you. They want you to show them something, all right? They want you to fight for something. Like, I can't, the lack of fight here, this hangman energy. You have more strength than you know, okay? A lot of you guys have been told that you are weak, or that you can't do something, or that you're not capable, or that you're not good enough. Those are lies, all right? That you are now using to self-sabotage you. You're almost, believing those things now. A lot of you guys also are taking things too sensitively, that somebody in your family or friend group, whatever, somebody very, soulmate energy, could be one of your damn kids, I don't care. You're taking something that they said way too much to heart. You're dwelling on it too much, and I feel like you're starting to kind of like go down the rabbit hole with that and read too much into it. So just check yourself on that, all right? Alrighty, you guys also had Gullah Jack in your reading. This is the Hanged Man card. The verse for that from the Bible is Proverbs 16:9. The heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. The plant is hemp. The image says Gullah Jack has a noose around his neck, but his face is serene. He has a Congo cosmogram as his third eye. Gullah Jack, birth date unknown, deceased 1822, was a Bakongo prisoner of war who was sold into slavery in Zanzibar. He was eventually sent to Charleston, South Carolina, and purchased by a man named Paul Pritchard. Gullah Jack had a reputation as a powerful root worker with a particular talent for making protective amulets. This may have been one of the reasons Telemachus, aka Denmark Vesey, recruited him to plan a revolt consisting of only African-born men against the colonists. Gullah Jack instructed the rebels to eat a special diet of corn and peanuts the day of the attack, and provided them with crab claws as talismans to keep them safe. He also threatened to put the root on any other slave who spoke of the plan. Unfortunately for the rebels, the plan was betrayed and the revolt was suppressed. All of the plotters, including Gullah Jack, were sentenced to death, but not before Gullah Jack used mysterious hand gestures, presumably to curse all of their oppressors. Gullah Jack was hanged on July 2nd, 1822. It says when Gullah Jack is appearing in a reading, you are more than likely feeling stuck or severely limited. This card asks that you endure any discomfort, pain, or humiliation nobly until it's time to get moving again. In the meantime, there is nothing you can do except be patient. This would be an excellent time to take up a course of study, practice meditation, read philosophy, and pray. Ask for the wisdom to know exactly what to do and how to get it done once your life is no longer on pause. Whatever you do, don't try to resist or force things to proceed prematurely. This card is a reminder to be a man or a woman enough to accept your consequences of your actions. If the current stalemate is in the direct result of your own ignorance or bad choices, then tough shit. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. You'll be free once the necessary lessons have been learned. Gullah Jack could be trying to tell you that sometimes the sacrifice of your own desires for the good of the whole is the right thing to do. If you receive Gullah Jack in a reading, consider the following things. Wait. Pause and reflect. It's okay to be vulnerable sometimes. Accept it. This is just the way it has to be for now. What will it take for you to just let it go? It's okay to change your mind. If the sacrifice is worth it, then what are you waiting for? And now it's time to put the needs of others first, okay? All right, so that was that one. All right, so let's move on. You guys also had the Strength card. I love the art on this one. The Bible verse is Colossians 1:11. May you be strengthened with all power according to his glorious might, for all endurance and patience with joy. The plant is chamomile. The image is saying a woman poses with a powerful puma. She trusts it and it trusts her. The puma, known also as the cougar, The mountain lion, or the panther, is the second largest cat in North America. It is a cunning hunter with practically no natural enemies except humans. It is a fitting analogy for our inner strength, which can only be brought to the brink of extinction by external forces. The fact of the matter is, we are all strong, or else we would not be here. If you consider the hundreds of sperm that competed to make it to our mother's egg, all failing but one, then you have no choice but to admit that we all came into the world winners. The only challenge that we face once we get here is how to maintain that same determination to win, grow, and transform into even more powerfully developed beings than we were before. The meaning behind this strength card says, when strength comes up in a reading, you are being asked to consider how you will access the inner strength needed to overcome any obstacles in your path. This is not a card of brute force, but one of subtlety, patience, and endurance. It's a reminder that you have what it takes to triumph over whatever may be troubling you, if you don't push too hard or act a fool. If someone has really pissed you off, it's critical that you heed this advice, or you could make a mistake that could make things worse. It might get to you or someone else, hurt or locked up. Just chill, the things will work out fine. If you receive strength in a reading, consider the following. Are you strong enough to be compassionate? Use the power of persuasion to get the results that you're seeking. She or he is an influencer, pay attention. Brute force or bluntness will backfire now, so be careful. You can get through this difficult time if you just calm down. If you would want to be forgiven in that situation, then forgive. Don't give up, you can do it. Reject any attempts someone is making to intimidate you. Stop complaining, there will always be setbacks no matter what you're trying to do. It's time to get solution-based and take a chill pill, okay? All right. The next card that you had was Father of Sticks. This is the King of Wands in this deck. The plant associated with it is rye. The image says a highly successful 19th century hoodoo man named Dr. James Alexander, aka Indian Jim, who lived in New Orleans but was originally from Mississippi, is depicted as the Father of Sticks. He was known for his curing ceremonies, which included the distribution of fruit covered in burning brandy. He would also do head washings with the brandy as well. It says the Father of Sticks is generally a beneficent card. On the positive side, he is a visionary, adventurous, goal-oriented, wise, and trustworthy, with a can-do attitude and a natural-born leadership. On the negative side, he is cowardly, incompetent, immature, impotent, and reckless. In a reading, if he doesn't represent a literal person with these qualities, then he represents these attributes. Okay? Let's see what is next for you. Next, you guys had the Seven of Sticks. The plant associated with the Seven of Sticks is elderberry. The image says, according to legend, Uncle Monday was a witch doctor from Africa who was enslaved in South Carolina. He managed to escape and sought refuge among the Seminole. Uncle Monday promised himself that he would never let whites capture him again, so he asked a Seminole medicine man to turn him into an alligator so as to always be able to defend himself. He is said to still roam the swamps in either his alligator or human form, blessing or cursing anyone who crosses his path. Meanings of this card, all right, in the positive, upright version, it says standing your ground, strength in adversity, defending your beliefs, the final showdown, a fair competition, protests, resisting authority, protecting what's rightfully yours, and the ability to summon inner strength. Negative aspects in the reverse position, being pushed around, exhaustion, being a doormat, struggling to survive, the odds being against you, fighting a losing battle, being a scapegoat, feeling overwhelmed, quitting, getting bullied, stubbornness, narrow mindfulness, failing to admit you're wrong, hidden enemies, and surrendering. Okay? I also feel, Libra, it's like your guides are testing you to see how bad you actually want something, all right? Uncle Monday here, like, begged to be turned into an alligator when he escaped his slave master so that he could roam the swamp and kill any white person that came back to try to get him. That's some dedication. Like, I'd rather live my life as a damn gator than ever go back to that. They want to know how bad you want out of a bad situation. Like, what are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to do? How far are you willing to go? How much of a fight are you willing to put in? They want to see you fight. They want to see you care. They want to see you get passionate about something and stop sitting on the fence. You're very highly protected as well. I don't think that you realize that. A lot of you guys are losing faith that you've been abandoned. That amulet, this circle on his head, it's not circle, it's his third eye, but it's also a protective amulet. Like, he was really skilled at working charms and protective things like that. You are way more protected than you think, all right? And you're way more loved than you think. A lot of you guys are all in your head about this. Five of Swords energy is about self-sabotage, all right? And I feel like that's a little bit of what's going on here. All right, you guys also had the 10 of Baskets. The plant associated with that is the dandelion. The image says a happy grill master and his family enjoy barbecue and moonshine infused with dandelion root. Dandelion root aids with digestion. They're gonna need it. Meaning upright, positive, happy families, spiritual contentment, consensus, harmonious relationships, blessings, shared values, friends who never let you down, reunions, stability, soulmates, camaraderie, unity, celebrations with loved ones, and ideal domestic situations. Negative, reverse position, family disputes, losing your home, estranged spouses, family secrets, broken homes, toxic relatives, abusive parents, empty nest syndrome, unhappy childhoods, homesickness, instability, rebellious teens, and custody battles. Lord, spare me those custody battles. Y'all was a custody attorney and domestic attorney for like a decade. I just finished up my last case like not even that long ago. I don't want to do that anymore. Okay, the next card that you guys got was the 5 of Knives. Also the 5 of Swords in the regular tarot. Plant associated with that is corn silk. The image says a woman shows off a silver coin hidden beneath her tongue. This is called putting a bit in your mouth. It was believed by some root workers that if you had no choice but to lie in court, you could be freed of responsibility for lying after swearing on the Bible. Meaning upright and positive, making amends, conflict resolve, vindication, overcoming challenges, vengeance, righteous fury, treachery exposed, being prepared for battle, the end of attacks, fighting back, confronting evil, and compromise. Negative, manipulation, revenge, betrayal, exploitation. This is all in the reverse, by the way. One-upmanship, losing face, defeat, intrigue, rudeness, deceit, troublemakers, conflict, surrender, letting the ends justify the means, illegal gains, liars, humiliation, self-sabotage, negative energy, degradation, malicious rumors, haters, possessiveness, hidden enemies, hurt feelings, intimidation, frenemies, and ignoring warnings. All right. Okay, Libra, those were all of your cards with your extra bonus special meanings for you. Please make sure you checked out the original reading on my other channel. And if you guys would like a personal reading, make sure you hit me up for that. Love y'all. See you next time, Libra. Bye. All right, Aquarius, let's get into your lovely extended portion of your reading today and drop some knowledge on y'all and some history and all that good stuff. All right, let's get to it. All right, you guys had today Father Sims, also known as the Temperance card, as the Bible verse is Job 38:36. Who gives the ibis wisdom or gives the rooster understanding? Very vague. The plant is pea vine. The image says Father Sims is dressed in the purple satin robe in which he liked to work. The rooster represents him, and the 2 streams of water represent his baptism as a 2-headed doctor, a hoodoo term that does good and bad work. Father George Sims, born Joe Watson and nicknamed the Frizzly Rooster, was a preacher and root worker from New Orleans. They called him the Frizzly Rooster because many people kept at least one chicken in the backyard for the sole purpose of scratching up any roots that may have been placed on them by an enemy. He had a reputation for being able to effectively place or lift curses and read anyone. Father Sims was a bit eccentric and was comfortable doing good or bad workings. He gave sermons at Myrtle Wreath Hall and that's where his most famous student, Zora Neale Hurston, made his acquaintance. After weeks of performing superficial tasks without anything being explained to her, she was initiated by Father Sims, given the name the Boss of Candles, and finally taught the deeper mysteries. It is a common misconception that root worker is never an initiatic system, because while this is the case for many, initiations are not unheard of. It says, when Father Sims comes up in a reading, it's asking you to review your position regarding your inquiry. If you've taken an extreme or one-sided position, now is the time to consider things from a more balanced perspective. Things do not have to be black and white, so don't force it to be. If you have been asked to compromise or cooperate, but you feel resistant to the idea, this card is a good sign that you have not considered all of the aspects of the situation. If you've been asked to give someone an answer, don't respond until you feel more centered. To do otherwise may cause deep regret and feelings to be hurt unnecessarily. Try to be fair. If you receive Father Sims in a reading, consider the following. What would be gained by compromising? Is it worth more than the perceived loss? Are you being fair? Sometimes less is more. Extremists never think that they're extreme. Peace is priceless. Focus on healing and recovery. An alliance is not such a bad idea. What am I bringing to the potluck dinner? Perhaps add something else to the mix. And other races, religions, and ethnic groups exist. Maybe it's time to learn more about other people. All right. The next card that we had in your spread today was the Garden card, which is the World card in this deck. Sorry for the glare. The prayer that goes with this one is Isaiah 58:11. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. The plants associated with that are cosmos. I have some of those growing in my backyard. It's a wildflower. The image, it says, a woman is happily watering her garden. Prior to the Industrial Revolution, most Americans were farmers by trade. It was hard work, but people took great pride in knowing that the produce that fed and cured their families was grown by their own hands. Y'all, I have to pause because I literally just did this. It was the most gratifying experience ever. I have killed every plant like in a most comical way that has ever come into my house or my possession in like a swift and comical fashion. Since I moved to my new house down in the low country here, I started trying to be like a gardener and a farmer, and I grew my own food. Like, I'm so fucking excited for myself. I grew a ton of collard greens, like a ton, and I harvested them all the other day for Easter, and I made the most delicious batch of like southern collard greens with pot liquor, all that good stuff. And I'm telling you, the fact that I grew those things from a seed to a giant plant and then was able to cook them and eat them and feed my family with them was one of the most gratifying experiences I've ever had. So there's that. I don't know, I just thought I'd share that with you. Anyways, it says, yes, the produce that fed and cured their families was grown by their own hands. For people with more resources, gardening eventually became a relaxing leisure activity that allowed them to connect with nature or express themselves creatively. Either way, whether for utilitarian or recreational purposes, the rule for a successful harvest doesn't change, which is this: mind your crops. Meaning, when the garden appears in a reading, it's letting you know that you've successfully taken care of business and it's time to reap all the goodness that you've sown. Count your blessings. If your query relates to gossip or rumors, the garden could be trying to tell you to mind your own business. It's reminding you of how much better the world would be if everyone focused on their own affairs. Tend to your own garden. It also says, instead of being concerned about what others are doing and how they're doing it, tend to your own affairs. If you receive the garden in a reading, consider the following. In what ways do you heal the world? In what ways do you heal the world? Seriously consider the benefits of working there or joining that club, etc. The solution has arrived. There is nothing more to seek. What makes you feel safe, grounded, and whole? Don't wait for anyone else to have a pleasurable experience. Stop and smell the roses. Learn the art of being content. You made it, now enjoy it. All right. The next card that was pulled in your reading is the Big House, which is the Tower card in this deck. Can you see that? It says the Big House, which is the Tower. The Bible verse is Isaiah 34:11. It says, but the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it. The owl. So the Bible verse associated with this is Isaiah 34:11. It says, but the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it. The owl also and the raven shall dwell in it. And he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness. I have no idea what that means. And it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, so I'm not even going to try to get into that. So if anyone knows what that Bible verse means or has some context for that, can you please comment that below for your girl? The plant associated with this card is the oak. The image says a woman looking at a plantation home with a rose-colored lens is unable to see the suffering of the people plummeting from the window. It's likely that they don't even exist. There is no greater symbol of Southern gentility than a majestic plantation home surrounded by lush Victorian gardens. Every year, millions of people from around the world flock to the South for plantation tours as their guides prattle on about lemonade, quaint customs, and corseted balls during what may be called simpler times. What they don't tell you is that most of those villages and fields were already there and thriving prior to the arrival of the foreigners. In other words, indigenous people were literally forced to work on their own land. So while this simpler time was certainly a reality for hundreds of prosperous slave owners, it was not for thousands of enslaved people and indentured servants. From then, the Big House was far from beautiful. So while this simpler time was certainly the reality for hundreds of prosperous slave owners, it was not for thousands of enslaved people and indentured servants. For them, the Big House was far from beautiful and was instead an unpredictable house of horrors. It says when the Big House comes up in a reading, it may be trying to prepare you for sudden change and the subsequent trauma that will come from it. There will be no opportunity to adjust. You will simply have to deal with things the best way you know how. If you are not a big embracer of change or you don't like surprises, life is about to suck big time, but it doesn't have to. The best thing to do when you get the news is to fight the urge to resist or deny whatever is occurring and try your best not to look at the bright side. If there is a bright side or you're presently unable to see it, or if there is no bright side or you're presently unable to see it, then seek support immediately. Reach out to family, friends, and neighbors or call a hotline, talk to somebody. It's important that you have people around now that can keep you focused and grounded as the winds of change uproot all that seemed permanent. If you receive the Big House in a reading, consider the following. Your plans may be disrupted in a way that you cannot imagine. Is this a breakdown or a breakthrough? In what way does this change hurt your ego? Things may actually turn out better in the end. What or who do you need to help you through this difficult time? There is a danger of going completely off the rails. Mind your temper. And just like that, it's over. Pick up the pieces and let it go. How could this experience inspire you to new heights? Why do you think that idea just came out of the blue? Perhaps it's not such a big surprise at all. You just weren't ready to see it. And the truth hurts. Interesting. Aquarius, there's also like a lot of doubt about what's going on here with you. Like, you feel like something is ridiculous, or you feel like those rules don't apply to you, or you feel like there's no point in going, through the motions with something. There is a point. There is. Also have to be very careful, all right? Page of Pentacles, that has to deal with like literally having conversations, speaking with somebody else. Temperance in reverse is like when you're being too one-sided, where you're unable to see anyone else's position or point of view, so negotiating is like impossible. I feel like if you can't start seeing things more balanced or seeing the other side of something, or if someone can't do that with you, meet in the middle about something, that's not going to close this cycle out. It's going to end in disaster with that Tower. It's almost like it's better to give an inch than, have a mile taken from you. Something like that is the saying. Like, you give them an inch and they take a mile. In this instance, I feel like it's different. You need to give an inch, all right? And like, I feel like that's when a compromise will be reached. I feel like the standing very one-sided on whatever this issue is here is going to leave you in this Five of Pentacles energy with nothing. Like if you're trying to work a deal or something like that, and you're like, no, it's my way or the highway. Somebody might just back all the way out and just cancel the whole thing. No negotiation whatsoever. It's better to negotiate and get some of what you want than get absolutely nothing. All right, so just be careful about that. Alrighty, the next card that you guys had was the, where are you? Daughter of Coins, also known as the Page of Pentacles. The plant is mulberry. It says the image, the Daughter of Coins, is serving plates of mac and cheese to her guests. Root workers always insisted that people eat at least a little something when they visited. It is believed that to have a hungry guest in the home is not only extremely rude, but also never fails to attract bad luck. Meaning, it says the Daughter of Coins reminds us not to overlook or underestimate the importance of what may be considered the mundane aspect of our lives. She is a reminder that it's often the little things that matter the most. On the positive side, she is a hard worker, committed, organized, honest, values tradition, and always wants to do the right thing. On the negative side, she is anal retentive, pessimistic, stubborn, joyless, compulsive, fearful, and a perfectionist. In a reading, if she doesn't represent a literal person with these qualities, then she represents those attributes. All right? Okay, the next card that y'all had was the Five of Coins, which is the Five of Pentacles. Let's see here. It says the plant associated with this is the nettle. The image shows a root worker from Missouri named Sam Nightingale giving two down and out people a spiritual cleansing with herbs and rum. Sam was originally from Guinea and was well loved and respected as a storyteller and conjurer in Missouri. Meaning, on the positive side, upright, hard times coming to an end, a new job after prolonged unemployment, renewed faith, recovery from financial ruin, improved luck, feeling welcome, rehabilitation, debt repayment, and a light at the end of the tunnel. Negative aspects of this in the reverse would be unemployment, homelessness, recessions, worry, failure to seek spiritual guidance, adversity, misery, despair, disgrace, misfortune, loss, disappointment, miserable luck, being down and out, isolation, lack of faith, and ill health. You guys also had the Eight of Baskets, which is also known as the Eight of Cups in the regular tarot. The plant is cactus. The image says a man is seen walking away from a house. He's obviously an unwelcome visitor, as someone has placed hot foot powder on the porch to keep him away. There are many different recipes for hot foot powder, but the most common ones usually include pepper, salt, and sulfur. I use red pepper flakes. Meaning positive, upright, becoming independent, moving on, leaving the past behind, trying to find oneself, retreat, relocating, abandoning all that you have outgrown, and seekers of truth. In the negative or the reverse position, fear of the unknown, unhealthy attachments, making changes you will regret later, fear of commitment, a flat lever, fair weather friends, abandoning responsibilities, and aimless wandering. All right? And the next card that you had was the Four of Baskets, otherwise known as the Four of Cups. The plant is bay, as in bay leaves. The image says a young woman is being offered just one more basket after rudely rejecting the other three. The NG cufflinks belong to Neville Goddard, born in 1905, died in 1972, who was one of the most important and influential New Thought voices of the 20th century. The New Thought movement emphasized the power of positive thinking and the ability of the mind to manifest whatever the seeker desired, also referred to as the law of attraction. Neville claimed that his teacher was a turbaned black man named Abdullah, who rumored him to who tutored him in scripture, number, mysticism, Kabbalah, and Hebrew. New Thought philosophy was incorporated into many Black American spiritualist churches. It says the meaning of this card in the upright positive position is revitalization, meditation, introspection, and the end of stagnation. The negative aspects in the reverse are boredom, withdrawal, fatigue, dissatisfaction, apathy, lack of motivation, cataloging regrets, feeling misunderstood, reclusiveness, frustration, rejecting assistance, yearning, time for reassessment, pity parties, depression, cynicism, and self-absorbed individuals. Okay? All right, Aqua, that was the extended version of your Hoodoo Tarot reading today. Hope I dropped some history knowledge on y'all, and I will catch you on the next one. Love you, Aqua. Bye.